What's up, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy, and today I'm going to be doing a video on my 5 tips that I have on how to become a better deck builder. Deck building is super important. You can have really expensive cards or whatever, but if you don't put them together effectively... I've gotten a couple of compliments from my friends. They're like, Tracy, you build really good decks, and it's definitely a really awesome compliment to me. And it's definitely something that I wasn't always really great at. Let's be real here. First deck I ever built, first deck like everyone built, was probably not that good. The first deck I ever built was a mono blue merfolk deck. It was really bad. It was just like, ew, it was really bad. Which is funny because now I have an Afara merfolk tribal deck, which is really interesting, but it's a lot better than what it was back then. But anyways, we all start from somewhere, and it definitely takes some practice, and these are just the ways that I use that help me hone my skills and really become a better deck builder. So let's get into it. The first thing I would say is use the internet definitely as a tool for you. One of the websites that I use that I literally build all of my decks on, like I can't imagine building a deck without it, is the website Tapped Out. I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was though, because like I love them and I think they're a great website. But basically this website is super awesome. Like you can build decks on it, you can view other people's decks on it. It's very visual, so you can like add cards, you can remove cards, you can just do like everything on it. It's really good. Also, it comes with like it has like your main board, you have like a sideboard, and then you also have like cards that you need. And it has like a maybe board and a sideboard. I don't know if I said this too. But yeah, it's really, really great. It's really functional. It's really exhaustive. It's really awesome. So I would definitely recommend that. If you don't use that, I'm sure there are other tools out there that do like basically the same thing, but doing something like this is really, really helpful because I've been a tutor for the past like couple semesters, and it's very interesting because I deck build very similarly to how I instruct students on how to write essays, if that makes any sense at all, because basically I say that when you're building a deck and when you're writing an essay, just get everything out there and then go back and edit later. That's like one of the, the best advice like I can give with, with writing and how to become a better writer, is write a lot and then go back and edit later, because if you get so caught up in like focusing on that one sentence to like edit, or like that one card that you're like, I don't know if I want this in here, you're gonna like miss out on a lot of other stuff. I don't know if that analogy made sense at all. It makes sense in my head. But anyways, so it's yeah, it's definitely really great. I would definitely recommend using a website like that, and it's really nice. Like, it's just get all the cards that you want out there and then go back and be like, okay, I'm not sure about this. And that's what's great about the maybe board, is you can be like, okay, I'm not exactly sure for this. So like, I'm building right now a Tassiger EDH deck, and I know I needed, like, I had a couple of slots in my deck and I had like 12, and I was like, okay, I need 12 solid cards, and I had about like 26 to choose from or something like that, or like it was like 30 or something. And it was like, to go from like 30 cards that you're interested in to go from 12, that's a lot, right? But it's like you go through and you look at your mana curve and you look at all that sort of stuff, and that's what's super awesome about a website like Tapped Out, is it shows you those things. It shows you visually. It shows you this is how your land ratio is looking in terms of your CMC, your converted mana cost, all of those sort of things, which is super great. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using a website like that. It's definitely helped me become a better deck builder. I don't know how I would be building decks without that website. It would be very difficult for me to visually think about all those cards and then plan out my mana curve and like all that sort of stuff. So that'd be the first thing that I would say. The second thing I would say is to look at other people's decks. If you're like building a deck and your ADH, I feel like is a little bit easier because you're like, oh, this is my commander. Let's talk about this commander. But if you're like, I want to build a standard Abzan deck. Oh my gosh, there's like a million Abzan decks right now. Abzan, however you freaking pronounce it. I don't know. Magic is pronounced like tomato. It's like all these things. Looking at other people's decks, it's definitely not like, as long as you're not like copying someone's deck, like card for card, if you're like, I'm gonna use this as inspiration. And it's super great because if you're like going along with my Tassiger EDH deck idea, it's like I looked at a bunch of different Tassiger decks, and then I saw, if you see a card on like everyone's deck list, you're like, wow, okay, this card is probably really good for this deck. It has really good synergy. So things like that is just, looking at other people's decks and seeing what they you know, what they think are really good cards. I think that's like super important. Again, it's like the same thing going back to the writing example. Like, I'm a writer, so of course I'm going to look at other people's work so that I can become a better writer. I'm not copying their work. I'm looking at it and I'm using it as inspiration to become a better writer. And it's the same thing with deck building. So looking at what other people have is going to be super important. There's a lot of cards that my friends will use that I will be like, wow, this card is super great. And then I'll be like, wow. And then it's like in my like bank of cards in my head, and I'm like, wow, okay, I gotta keep this card in mind because they really like it. This card works for them. Maybe it'll work for me. So I would say definitely looking at other people's decks is going to be super helpful, especially, again, if you're building a very similar deck. Like, if you're building, I'm going to build a Tasigur EDH deck. Let me look at another Tasigur EDH deck. What cards do they think, you know, are going to be good? So that's really important. Another website I really like is this website, this is my favorite thing, is this website called The Gatherer, which is super great. Again, I'm not sponsored, but it's just another really great website. Basically, you can search like anything on this website. You can be like, I want to search for very specifically, I'm actually building a mono black EDH deck with the new Liliana as my commander, Hereticular. I'm so excited for Origins, by the way. Like, for Liliana, let's be real here. I was building a deck for that, and I was thinking of doing a loss of life thing. You can type in The Gatherer, like, in the text box, like, opponent loses life, something like that, and it'll narrow down results. You can narrow down by color, you can narrow down by CMC, all of that sort of stuff you can do. If you're looking for creatures, I want to look for green creatures that cost 2 mana. You can do something like that. I want to look for white humans with converted mana cost 3 or less. You can do something like that, which is super awesome. It's especially really helpful if you're, like, pretty much for anything, really. I again, use that website all the time. And that kind of is, like, a nice segue into my 4th point, which is to have a consistent theme with your deck. If your deck is trying to do 15 different things, it's probably not gonna work. Sometimes it just gets to be like too much, and your deck is just like, I'm trying to do like 100 things right now, and it's like, it doesn't work. My best example of this was I went to the Dragons of Takir pre-release. I went 3-1. I had a sweet Culligan Dash deck. It was really awesome. I was really proud of it. And the game that I lost, I remember it was 1-2. So one of our games was super, super close or something like that. Like, it was like a turn away. Like, if he didn't kill me that turn, I would have killed him that turn. I would have killed him, you know, his turn. And it was just super close. And one of the things that he said to me was, he was like, you know, I think that you had a couple, like, discard cards in your deck. Like, I think I was running, like, Duress and Mind Rot. He was like, don't run cards like that. He's like, your deck is doing this very aggressive, like, hi, I'm here to be aggressive and I'm here to, like, punch you in the face. Like, don't try to do this whole, like, I'm gonna make you discard. Don't try to add that, like, controlling aspect to it. And that got me really thinking how, of course you want to have removal and of course you want to have things like that, but it's like, if I had taken those cards out, I would have won, because I would have had those extra points of damage to, you know, kill him. And I think, like, that was something that I learned a lot that day, like, from that game a lot, and I was like, wow, that was, like, really interesting. I never, like, thought about something like that before. But yeah, if your deck is trying to do 12 things, it's gonna show. You don't want to do something like that. You want to have a very consistent theme. If you're like, I'm gonna do zombie tribal, don't do zombie plus elf tribal. Just don't do it. You're gonna be, like, kicking yourself in the foot. You're gonna be like, why did I do this? Pick one thing and be consistent about it. Don't try to do a million things, because it shows, and it's not good for deck building. And the last thing that I would say, number 5, is just to deck build a lot. And that is kind of a cliche, one of those things, like, you know, to get better you have to practice a lot, but it's so relevant. It's like, you're not gonna get better at deck building if you're just like, okay, I'm gonna build one deck and it's gonna be great, you know, whatever. And I think it depends too on the quantity versus quality things. You're gonna build decks that you're gonna take apart. And my whole thing is, I hate doing that. I love building decks where I've had for, like, a long time. I have had, my second deck that I ever built is a 60 mono white angel deck that I still have today. Like, so I've had that deck for, like, over 3.5 years when I started playing Magic. The deck means a lot to me because it's like, I've had it for so long. And it was one of those things that was before Avacyn Restored came out, so it was before, like, angels kind of became, like, a bigger thing than they already were. And I was like, you know, people were like, oh, you're gonna have a hard time building that deck, and it was like, well, I made the deck, and I still have it today, and it means a lot to me. So, yeah, you're gonna deck build a lot, and you're gonna take decks apart, you're gonna change decks a lot, you're gonna edit decks, and some cards are just not gonna work. You know, not every card is just gonna be like a Siege Rhino where it kind of works in everything. Like, Siege Rhino is kind of one of those cards where like, yeah, Siege Rhino. Like, not every card is gonna be like that. Not every card is gonna be like as easily like, wow, this card is gonna be super awesome. Sometimes a card looks great and it doesn't play well. Or sometimes you underestimate a card. Sometimes you're like, oh wow, this card is probably not that good, and you play it and you're like, wow, this card's actually amazing. So it's all about practice, it's all about playtesting a lot. And yeah, that was all I got. So yeah guys, that's it. Those are my 5 ways of basically how to become a better deck builder. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So I always like end so flatly because I'm like, I don't really know what else to say, but I guess I'm just gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoy your day, and I'll see you later. Bye!